Hey everyone, wanted to talk about the latest horror movie directed by Scott Cooper and produced by Guillermo del Toro. Let's talk about Antlers.
Destroying the down. When you see that.
Antlers is a story about a character named Julie who's coming back to her old hometown of Oregon to live with her brother, Paul, played by Jesse Plemons, and Julie, who's played by Kara, who used to be Felicity, is noticing that one of her students is very weird. A character by the name of Lucas, and she's noticing that something's wrong with his life. Meanwhile, there's a killer going around this town, mutilating people. I really liked Antlers. This is a fun, enjoyable, kind of slow burn, but not slow as in the movie is not fast paced. What it is you're learning about these characters, waiting for the big build up for the monster. See, you have Kara, who is a student, who's a teacher, who ran away from the city in the first place because of abuse. Then you have Paul, who's played by Jesse Plemons, who I think turns in a really good performance, because the last time I saw him was in Jungle Cruise, and I also saw him in Game Night, so I'm used to seeing him in comedies. He kind of played this movie straight, except for a couple of lines where the audience kind of laughed at it, but he's playing this totally as a straight man. Then we have our third main character, Lucas, who's this 12-year-old boy whose father and brother are going through things, to say the least. I will say this, it was smart of the movie to have Julie have most of the lines in the dialogue and giving the exposition, at the same time not giving exposition that feels like a dump. It feels slow and gradual where you're learning about these characters, and Lucas kind of just has to be there to look sad, mad, angry. His longest line of dialogue is when he has to tell a story, which is at the same time giving us exposition, so he's doing two things at once. Very efficient. This movie's only an hour and 39 minutes. I also do like the build up to the monster and the reveal. I highly enjoyed it, and I thought it was very smart of them to kind of hide the monster for the most part. Even in the final battle, he is still cloaked in darkness, so we don't get to see too much of him. This reminded me of Aliens, or Alien. As for the negatives of this movie, there is a lot going on in this movie. But I want to put this somewhere in between. There's a lot going on in this movie because there is this overwhelming sense of dread in this town, because it is an old-fashioned, dilapidated town. Their main source of I think, currency or how they make money is a mine. And I also do like the fact that everyone kind of feels like there's something going on in this town. Like, everyone feels a little bit damaged in this movie. And I kind of find it fascinating. I also kind of find it fascinating that we didn't know exactly how. I can see this being a source of frustration for some people, i.e., there are scenes where Julie keeps going into a grocery store and looking at bottles of liquor, but we're never told why. It's either implied she was an alcoholic or her dad was an alcoholic, one of the two. But I can see that being a source of frustration. Also, her brother, Paul's character, mentions that he had to do stuff for their dad, but we never pick up on it. So it's kind of like, I know people are going to find it frustrating. It's like, oh, they're dropping these titles in and they're dropping these subjects in and not doing anything with it. I think it's kind of more like where we have to ping in what we think the characters are going through. And I kind of find that very interesting. Like Lucas's character, Lord knows what he was going through, as what's going on with his brother and his dad is what's happening to them. I also found it interesting, or I think it's going to be a little bit frustrating on the explanation on why all this is happening. I bought into it, whatever, this is a horror movie. There is also one character who does everything what a horror character do. She does everything stupid. And as soon as she started doing it, I was like, yeah, you're the stupid character. This is a horror movie after all. Also, the last scene, I think a lot of people are going to have problems with, because, I don't know, if you ever saw Brightburn, I think you kind of have the same problems with this. But overall, I thought it was really enjoyable. I was literally tensioned. When we get to the violence in the third act, it is violent. So and it's gory and it's detailed. So if you're not into that stuff, you might not want to watch this movie. But yeah, you can tell that this is a Guillermo del Toro flick from the way the monster looked at the end to some of the graphic violence. But it also had that dirty look that Scott Cooper has been, or from the movies that I've seen, you know, Black Mass, Out of the Furnace, Hostiles, that he's into. So this was an interesting combination. I'm going to give Antlers an 8.2. It came out today. Let me know if you're going to watch it this weekend. And until next time, tomorrow I have My Hero Academia. Later.
We are the